Captain Tai Yang stood on the observation deck of the orbital station, watching the city lights of New Horizons spread across the planet below. His home. 2 million people lived down there, building farms and cities on humanity's newest colony world. His wife, Nari, worked in the capital as a teacher. His daughter attended school there. Life was good. Humanity had finally reached the stars. Then the sky tore open. The rifts appeared without warning. Massive holes in space, bleeding purple light. Ships emerged. Not human ships. These were enormous, covered in strange metal that seemed alive. They moved like predators, slow and confident. Tai Yang hit every alarm on the station. The lead ship was the size of a city. It stopped above New Horizon and sent a message in perfect English. This territory belongs to the Vectar sovereignty. You are trespassing. Submit to our authority or be removed. Admiral Hyun arrived from Earth within days. He was humanity's best diplomat, a man who had prevented 3 wars through clever talking. He met with the Vectar ambassador, a tall being made of crystal that reflected light in painful ways. Hyun offered trade agreements, technology exchanges, peace treaties, everything humanity had to offer. The Vectar ambassador laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. Your species is new, weak. We have ruled this sector for 10,000 years. 1,000 species have offered us the same things you offer now. They all kneel before us today. You will too. Hyun refused. Humanity would not become slaves. The ambassador left without another word. 3 hours later, the Vectar warship fired a single weapon. The beam of light hit New Horizons' capital city, and everything for 50 miles around turned to glass. 800,000 people died in seconds. Tai Yang watched through his telescope as the city where his family lived simply stopped existing. No explosion, no fire, just gone. Erased. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Nari's last message to him had been that morning. Don't forget to eat lunch. I love you. Those were her final words. Earth mobilized everything. Every ship that could fly. Every weapon that could fire. Humanity had never fought an alien species before, but they knew how to fight each other. They'd done it for thousands of years. How different could this be? Very different. The war started badly and got worse. Human ships used missiles and railguns. Vectar ships used weapons that bent space itself. For every alien ship humanity destroyed, they lost 50 of their own. Commander Jiho led the defense of Mars. He was a good commander, experienced and careful. He watched 3,000 young soldiers die in the first minute of the battle. Their ships just came apart. No chance to fight back. No chance to run. The Vectar weren't just trying to win. They were teaching humanity a lesson. They attacked farm colonies, destroying the food supply. Billions started starving on Earth. They targeted hospitals, broadcasting the screams across every human frequency. They hit schools, playgrounds, anywhere that would cause maximum pain. Submit or die, the messages said. This can stop any time you kneel. Humanity refused, but refusing meant dying. 6 months into the war, 30% of humanity was dead. 18 billion people gone. Earth itself was under siege. Vectar ships surrounded the home planet, cutting it off from the remaining colonies. President Yuna led the government from a bunker deep beneath Seoul. Every day brought worse news. Another billion dead, another fleet destroyed, another colony burned. Commander Jiho survived Mars with only 3% of his ships. He landed on Earth expecting to die in the final battle. Instead, military intelligence recruited him for something else. They brought him to a facility beneath the Himalayas, a place that officially didn't exist. Dr. Kwan met him at the entrance. The scientist looked like he hadn't slept in months. His hands shook. What I'm about to show you, Kwan said, will change everything, including you. The facility went down for miles, level after level of laboratories and medical bays. Kwan explained as they walked. Before the war, we experimented with human enhancement, making soldiers faster, stronger, better. When the war started, we pushed further, much further. We stopped asking, should we, and started asking, what works? They reached the lowest level. Through thick glass, Jiho saw people in medical tanks. But they didn't look quite human anymore. Their bodies were changed. Some had metal growing from their skin. Others had extra limbs. One person's eyes glowed in the dark. We studied vector biology, Quan continued. Found what makes them superior. Their nervous system processes information faster. Their bodies are harder, stronger, more efficient. Their psychology is different too. They don't feel guilt or fear like we do. That's why they're such good killers. Jiho understood. You took those traits, put them in humans. Yes, and we made them better. A human with vector advantages plus human intelligence and creativity. We created something new, something superior to both species. How many? Jiho asked. 10,000 volunteers so far. We need more. Many more. They walked to President Yuna's emergency meeting that night. The government met in a reinforced chamber. 20 people who used to rule 8 billion. Now they ruled what was left, 40 billion and falling. Dr. Quan presented the project. He showed videos of enhanced soldiers breaking through steel walls, moving faster than cameras could track, healing from wounds that should be fatal. He showed psychological profiles. The enhanced soldiers felt less, cared less, killed easier. This is the only way we survive, Quan said. His voice was flat, empty. Normal humans can't beat the vector. We're outmatched in every way, but these can fight them, can hurt them, can win. President Yuna asked the question everyone was thinking. If we do this, if we change our people like this, can they change back? After the war? Dr. Quan looked at the floor. No, the changes are permanent. Anyone who goes through this process stops being fully human. They become something else, forever. The room was silent. Finally, Admiral Hyun spoke. How many will we need? Millions, Quan answered. Maybe tens of millions, if we want to win. The vote happened quickly. Everyone knew what had to be done. 20 hands raised, unanimous. President Yuna looked old suddenly, tired beyond measure. Do it, she said. Turn our people into weapons, into monsters if necessary. At least we'll be alive monsters. Dr. Quan nodded and left to begin mass production. As he walked away, Yuna called after him. Doctor, can we come back from this, as a species? Quan stopped, didn't turn around, didn't answer. He just kept walking into the darkness of the facility. Outside, another billion humans died in orbital bombardments. The Vector ships circled Earth like vultures, waiting for humanity to break. They didn't know humanity was already breaking itself, on purpose, into something new, something that would make the Vector wish they had never come to this corner of space. The transformation had begun. Commander Jiho volunteered, not because he wanted to, but because he had nothing left to lose. Mars had fallen. His crew was dead. His family had died on New Horizon. What did it matter what happened to his body now? Dr. Seok, Quan's assistant, explained the process. It takes 3 months. We'll rewrite your DNA, change your nervous system, alter your bones and muscles and organs. Your brain will be different too. We have to adjust your psychology. Make you less emotional, less human. It's necessary for combat effectiveness. Jiho signed the papers without reading them. 10,000 other volunteers did the same. Most had lost everything. Some wanted revenge. Others just wanted to feel useful again. A few actually believed they'd stay themselves after the change. They were wrong. The transformation happened in medical tanks filled with blue liquid. Jiho floated in darkness for weeks, conscious but unable to move. He felt his body changing, bones breaking and reforming, new tissue growing. His nervous system caught fire with pain, then went numb. Then came back different. He could think faster, process more information. His emotions started to fade like old photographs. When they pulled him out after 3 months, Jiho looked in a mirror and didn't recognize himself. His eyes were completely black, not just the pupils, everything. His skin had a slight metallic shine. When he smiled, there were too many teeth, all sharp. He looked dangerous, wrong, not human. "How do you feel?" Dr. Siok asked. Jiho thought about it. He should feel horror, fear, something. Instead, he felt calm, focused, ready. "Different," he said. His voice sounded different too, colder. The facility held 10,000 others like him. Lieutenant Hana emerged from her tank, able to connect her mind directly to computers. She could hack any system just by touching it. Sergeant Day grew special glands that produced deadly toxins. Specialist Minji could phase partially out of normal space, becoming ghost-like. They weren't soldiers anymore. They were weapons that looked like people. Colonel Yoon ran the training program. He was old military, harsh, and direct. "Listen carefully," he told them on the first day. "You're not human anymore. Accept that. You're tools, weapons. Your job is to kill the enemy efficiently. If you start thinking you're still people, you'll hesitate. Hesitation means death, your death, and everyone else's." They trained for another 3 months, learning to hunt in groups, to kill without thinking, to enjoy the work. That was the hardest part for some. The conditioning made them like violence, crave it. Jiho found himself looking forward to combat simulations. The part of him that remembered being a father, being human, screamed silently. But that part was getting quieter every day. Not everyone survived the conditioning. Some volunteers rejected it mentally. Their minds broke. They were quietly removed from the program. Jiho never asked where they went. The program expanded rapidly. President Yuna authorized mandatory conscription. Anyone between 18 and 45 with the right genetics had to transform. Not asked, forced. Dr. Kwan protested, "This will change humanity forever. We won't be the same species." Yuna's response was simple. "We're already changed. Now we just make sure we survive." Hundreds of thousands transformed, then millions. 30 facilities operated worldwide, turning humans into something else. The process had a 3% failure rate. Most failures died. Some became worse than the Vector. Jiho's unit, designated Revenant Squad, received their first mission. Drop on to Kepler 442b, a human colony world now occupied by the Vector. Objective: eliminate all enemy forces. No prisoners, no mercy. They dropped at night. 50 enhanced soldiers against a garrison of 50,000 Vector. The odds should have been impossible. They weren't. Jiho moved through the darkness faster than the Vector could track. His black eyes saw perfectly in the dark. His enhanced reflexes made every movement precise, efficient, deadly. He killed the first Vector guard silently, his bare hands breaking through alien armor like paper. It felt good. That was the worst part. Killing felt right. Hana infiltrated their communication systems, turning their own defenses against them. Automated guns fired on Vector soldiers. Blast doors locked, trapping them in rooms that became death traps. She did it all from a terminal, her mind racing through their networks like lightning. Day released his toxins in their barracks. The chemicals dissolved Vector biology. They died screaming, their crystal bodies melting. Day didn't feel anything watching it. The conditioning had taken that away. Minji phased through walls into sealed command bunkers. The Vector officers saw her appear like a ghost. They shot at her, but the bullets passed through her shifted form. She solidified just long enough to kill them, then faded again. The garrison fell in 72 hours, 50,000 dead. Jiho stood in the command center, covered in blood that wasn't his. Around him, his squad finished their work. They didn't just kill. They arranged the bodies, created patterns, art made from corpses. Jiho didn't remember deciding to do this. None of them did. It just happened. When Vectar reinforcements arrived, they found the garrison silent, dead. The bodies arranged in ways that made no tactical sense but created maximum psychological impact. A message from the new humanity. We can do worse than kill you. We can make your deaths mean something terrible. Commander Zhel, the Vectar officer leading the reinforcements, found Jiho waiting in the command center. The enhanced human sat in the commander's chair, cleaning blood from his hands. His black eyes reflected no light, no mercy. "I'm here to accept your surrender," Zhel said, trying to sound authoritative. Jiho smiled. Too many teeth. "No. You're here to learn. You started this war. You taught us what it means to fight without rules. Now we're teaching you what it means to lose." "This isn't war," Zhel said, looking at the arranged corpses. "This is madness." "No," Jiho corrected. "War is what you brought us. This is what you made us become. And we're very, very good at it." Zhel's reinforcements retreated. Word spread through the Vectar sovereignty faster than their ships could travel. Humanity had changed. The prey had become predators. Weak humans had become something worse than Vectar. Back on Earth, Dr. Siok watched recordings of the Kepler 442b mission. He saw what his creations had done. The efficiency, the brutality, the casual way they arranged corpses like art installations. He locked himself in his office and cried. The conditioning worked too well. They weren't just effective soldiers. They were monsters who enjoyed their work. Dr. Quan found him hours later. "You can't regret this now," Quan said. "We need them. They're winning." "At what cost?" Siok asked. "We've destroyed who we are to survive. What's the point of surviving if we become worse than what we're fighting?" Quan had no answer. He just returned to work, creating more soldiers, more weapons, more monsters. Humanity deployed enhanced soldiers by the tens of thousands. Every planet they touched fell. Every Vectar force they engaged died. The war was turning. Humanity was winning. But what was winning exactly? The enhanced soldiers weren't human anymore. They couldn't go back, couldn't be cured, couldn't feel what normal people felt. They were permanent, tools that would exist forever, even after the war ended. Jiho sat in his quarters after the mission, looking at a photo he'd kept. Him, Nari, and their daughter smiling. He didn't remember that moment, didn't feel the love he must have felt then. The conditioning had taken it away. He was hollow inside. Empty. Just purpose and violence. He touched the photo with fingers that could break steel. "I'm sorry," he whispered. But he didn't feel sorry. He felt nothing. And that scared him more than the Vectar ever did. Part 3. Gods of War and Regret. The war turned. Humanity stopped losing, started winning. Enhanced soldiers deployed to every front, and the Vectar couldn't stop them. Admiral Hyun, who once wanted peace, now coordinated strikes that left entire enemy fleets as floating debris. Captain Suji, her mind directly connected to her fighter craft, shot down hundreds of enemy ships. She thought at computer speeds, but with human cunning. No Vectar pilot could match her. The enhanced soldiers didn't just win battles, they terrified. Sergeant Day's unit captured a Vectar command ship. Instead of taking prisoners, they used it as a laboratory, testing different toxin combinations on the crew, finding out how much pain Vectar could endure before dying. The ship drifted into Vectar space days later, all crew dead, walls covered in the results of experiments no ethical review board would ever approve. Day felt nothing about it. The conditioning made it easy. Just data collection. Just work. But some soldiers still had pieces of their humanity left. Commander Jiho found himself counting casualties, not enemy casualties, human ones. The civilians they couldn't save. The colonies that burned before the transformation program began. He was becoming inhuman, but part of him remembered being human. That part hurt in ways his enhanced body couldn't. Dr. Seok reviewed the mission reports every day. 94% combat effectiveness, 3% psychological breakdown rate, 47 documented war crimes that command ignored. He had created perfect weapons, but weapons shouldn't wake up screaming, shouldn't sit alone in the dark trying to remember what love felt like. The Vectar High Council met in emergency session. Overlord Talrin, who had ordered the invasion, watched battlefield recordings. Enhanced humans who should be dead kept fighting, who hunted for sport, who smiled during combat. One report showed Lieutenant Hana singing while she hacked a dreadnought's life support, suffocating its crew. She sounded happy. "They enjoy this," Talrin said to his council. "We thought we were teaching weak prey a lesson. Instead, we woke something that likes killing us." Planet after planet fell to human forces. The enhanced soldiers needed less food, less sleep, less hope. They were perfect for endless war. Jiho led assaults on the outer colonies of Vectar Prime. His reputation spread. The Vectar called him the Smiling Death because he smiled during every battle. Jiho didn't know when he started doing that, didn't know how to stop. A Vectar governor on Colony 447 broadcast a message to Jiho's approaching fleet. "We surrender, please. We have civilians here. Children, show mercy." Jiho listened to the message. The human part of him, what remained, wanted to accept. These were civilians, not soldiers. Not the ones who burned New Horizon, but the conditioning whispered different words. The memory of Nari burning, of his daughter erased, of billions dead. "No survivors," Jiho ordered. Lieutenant Hana looked at him. "Commander, are you sure? They're offering complete surrender." Jiho's smile never faded. "They taught us how to wage war. We're just better students than they expected." Colony 447 was erased. 3 million dead. When Earth Command reviewed the footage, President Yuna turned away from the screen. Admiral Hyun justified it in his report. "They started this. We're finishing it." But he didn't sleep well that night, or any night after. Across Earth, humans watched their soldiers winning. They cheered at first. Revenge, justice, survival. Then they saw what their people had become. A mother in New Seoul saw her daughter Yunbi on the news. The girl was standing over alien corpses, covered in blood, laughing. The mother couldn't recognize her child. The Vectar sovereignty broke. They sent peace delegations to Earth, offered full withdrawal, reparations, acknowledgement of human sovereignty, everything humanity had wanted at the start, generous terms, fair terms. President Yuna sent Commander Jiho to negotiate. The Vectar diplomats met him in a neutral station. They presented their terms professionally, complete withdrawal from human space, 50 years of reparations, technology transfers, everything. Jiho listened with those empty black eyes. When they finished, he smiled. "Counteroffer, you beg. Then we decide if you die slowly or quickly." The lead diplomat stiffened. "This is unacceptable. We're offering fair peace." "Fair?" Jiho laughed. It sounded wrong, inhuman. "You burned our worlds, killed our families, broadcast our children's screams for entertainment, and now you want fair? No. You taught us that war has no rules, no mercy. We're just applying your lessons." The negotiations collapsed. But the Vectar were desperate. Overlord Talrin himself came to Earth. This leader who had ordered billions dead, who had laughed at human pleas, knelt before President Yuna in her command center. "Please," Talrin said. The word seemed to hurt him. "Show mercy. We surrender completely, unconditionally. Just stop them." He wasn't talking about human ships or weapons. He was talking about the enhanced soldiers, the monsters. Yuna looked at the Overlord. She remembered the broadcasts of dying children. the colonies turning to glass. Her sister vaporized in the first month. Part of her wanted to accept, end the killing, save what remained of humanity's soul. But Dr. Kwan's words echoed in her mind. The transformation is irreversible. We can't turn them back. And if the war ended now, what would they do with millions of enhanced soldiers? Warriors who were conditioned to enjoy violence, who couldn't go back to normal life, who would always be dangerous. Commander Jiho stood behind Yuna, waiting for orders. She looked at him, this thing that used to be human, this weapon wearing skin. No, Yuna said quietly. No mercy. Finish it. Talrin's face showed something humans had never seen on Vectar before. Terror, pure, absolute terror. The order went out to all human forces. No more prisoners, no more mercy, complete elimination. Admiral Hyun gathered his command staff. This is a genocide order, he said bluntly. We're being asked to destroy an entire species. If anyone can't follow this order, leave now. No punishment, no judgment. No one left. They had all lost too much, felt too much hate. Or maybe the war had just changed everyone, even those who hadn't been enhanced. Jiho returned to his ship. His squad waited. Hana, Day, Minji, all of them monsters now, all of them humanity's weapons. New orders, Jiho said. We end them, all of them. No one questioned it. No one hesitated. They were made for this, built for this. The conditioning made it easy. But that night, alone in his quarters, Jiho looked at himself in the mirror. Black eyes, metal sheen skin, too many teeth. He tried to remember being human, tried to remember what horror felt like. What mercy meant, he couldn't. The conditioning was too strong. He was hollow inside, just a weapon that could talk. What have we become? He whispered to his reflection. The reflection smiled back. Too many teeth, empty eyes. The answer was simple. They had become exactly what they needed to be, exactly what the Vectar had made them become. Monsters, and monsters were very, very good at their job. Part 4. When God's fall, humanity invaded Vectar space with 50,000 warships. Half were crewed by enhanced soldiers who barely needed life support. They could survive hard vacuum for hours, could go days without sleep, felt no fear. Admiral Hyun commanded the fleet, but he knew the real weapons weren't the ships. They were the millions of enhanced humans who would land on Vectar worlds. This wasn't conquest. It was extermination. Commander Jiho's Revenant squad became famous throughout both human and Vectar space. They didn't just attack military targets, they hunted leadership. Lieutenant Hana cracked every encryption, found where Vectar commanders hid. Sergeant Day infiltrated sanctuaries, poisoning entire compounds. Specialist Minji phased through walls into bunkers that should have been impenetrable. No Vectar officer was safe, no hiding place deep enough. The Vectar started sending messages directly to human soldiers, bypassing command. Please stop. We have families. This isn't war anymore. They were right. It wasn't war. War had rules. This was something else. Jiho recorded a response and broadcast it on every channel. You're right. This isn't war. It's extermination. You taught us how to kill without mercy. Now we're showing you how to die. On Earth, humans watched the broadcast. Some cheered. Others turned away. Humanity was splitting. Some saw the enhanced soldiers as heroes, saviors, necessary evils. Others saw them as proof that humanity had already lost, that survival didn't matter if they stopped being human. Dr. Siok led protests outside the government complex. We've won, he argued. The Vectar are broken. We can stop now. We can save the next generation from transformation. President Yuna showed him casualty projections. If we stop now, Vectar remnants regroup in 10 years. Come back. Kill another billion. The enhanced soldiers keep us safe. That's the price. Jiho was called back to Earth to address the protesters. He stood before thousands of normal humans. They flinched looking at him. His black eyes, his wrong smile. The way he moved, too fluid, too perfect, too dangerous. "You're afraid of us," Jiho said calmly. "Good. You should be. We're monsters, but we're your monsters. We stand between you and them. You sleep safe because we became nightmares. Don't waste our sacrifice with guilt." He paused, and for just a moment, something almost human flickered in his expression. "We can't come back from what we are. We know that. So let us finish this. Let our damnation mean something." The crowd was silent. Some wept, others looked ashamed, but they stopped protesting. The Vectar sovereignty collapsed into civil war. Some factions wanted complete surrender. Others wanted to fight to extinction. A third group, led by War Mistress Kayla, tried something desperate. They captured human transformation technology, tried to enhance their own soldiers. The results were catastrophic. Vectar biology didn't adapt well to the process. Kayla's soldiers transformed into things that barely resembled living beings. Unstable, mindless, violent. They killed everything around them. Vectar, human, anything. They were abominations without purpose, just rage and hunger in flesh. Jiho encountered them on a border world. For the first time since his transformation, he felt something like shock. These things were what he was, weapons made from people, but without the conditioning, without the control, just monsters. "Is that what we look like to them?" Hana asked quietly, watching the abominations tear through both Vectar and human lines. Jiho didn't answer, but he knew. Yes, to normal humans, to the Vectar, they were all monsters. The only difference was control. His squad eliminated Kayla's abominations. It wasn't battle, it was mercy killing. These things suffered with every breath. When they found Kayla, chained to a wall by her own creations, Jiho expected to feel satisfaction. Instead, he felt something else. Recognition. "You tried to become us," Jiho told her, "but you didn't understand. We didn't just become monsters. We were always monsters. We just needed permission. Needed someone to tell us it was okay to be what we really are." Kayla died without speaking. Her eyes showed only horror at what she'd created, what she'd become. The Vectar's surviving leadership sent one final message to Earth. Not terms, not conditions. Just begging. 12 officials from a sovereignty that once ruled thousands of worlds, reduced to pleading for survival. "Please, mercy, we'll give you everything. Our technology, our resources, our homeworlds. Just let us live. Let our children live. Please. We're sorry. We're so sorry." President Yuna called an emergency session of the Global Council. The debate lasted 3 days. Some argued for mercy. Humanity had won. Genocide was too far. Others argued for security. As long as one Vectar lived, they threatened humanity. Admiral Hyun abstained from voting. He couldn't decide. Dr. Siak voted for mercy, then immediately resigned. "I can't be part of this anymore," he said. Dr. Kwan voted for annihilation without hesitation. "Security requires certainty. Certainty requires they all die." The vote split evenly. President Yuna had to break the tie. She was 73 now. The war had aged her decades. She thought about her sister, about the 40 billion dead, about the humanity they'd lost, about the humanity they might save. She voted. "Finish them." The order went out. Human forces didn't invade the Vectar core worlds. They sterilized them. Every planet, every station, every ship. Millions of enhanced soldiers descended on worlds that had stood for millennia. Commander Jiho led the assault on the Vectar homeworld. 5 billion civilians. He and his soldiers didn't speak during the drop, didn't smile. This wasn't sport. It was ugly, necessary work. The conditioning made it possible, made it easy, made it nothing. The homeworld burned, not from orbital weapons, from boots on the ground, enhanced soldiers going building by building, city by city, eliminating every living vector they found, military, civilian, old, young, everyone. It took 3 weeks. When it was over, Jiho stood in the ruins of the capital. Smoke rose from a civilization's funeral pyre. He tried to feel something, horror, guilt, satisfaction, anything, nothing. The conditioning worked perfectly. Or maybe he was just hollow inside, empty, a weapon that had done its job. Lieutenant Hana found him there. "Commander, it's done. They're gone. All of them." Jiho nodded. "Then we've won." "Have we?" Hana asked. She looked at her hands, enhanced, dangerous, covered in blood. "What are we now? What do we do when there's no one left to kill?" Jiho had no answer. They were weapons, and weapons without purpose were just dangerous trash. 3 weeks later, the Vector sovereignty ceased to exist. Not defeated, erased, billions dead. Their great civilization was archived and forgotten. The galaxy's oldest empire destroyed by its youngest. Humanity had won. But looking at what they'd become, at the monsters they'd created to survive, Jiho wasn't sure anyone had really won anything at all. He just knew the cost. And the cost was everything they used to be. Part 5. The Price of Victory. 10 years after the war ended, humanity had rebuilt. The population recovered to 60 billion. Technology advanced using captured vector knowledge. Earth and her colonies thrived. Humanity became the dominant power in their sector of space. They won. But victory looked strange. 2 million enhanced soldiers survived the war. Dr. Kwan proved definitively that they couldn't be changed back. The transformation was permanent, forever. So they existed in a strange twilight, heroes and monsters at the same time. Commander Jiho, now 54 but looking 30 because the enhancement slowed aging, commanded the Frontier Guard. He protected human space from external threats. Children looked up to him. Adults flinched when he walked past. In Seoul, now rebuilt and beautiful, a monument stood in the central plaza. Large letters carved in black stone read, "To those who became monsters, so we could remain human." Below were millions of names, the dead, the transformed, the lost. Jiho visited sometimes, read the names, his wife Nari, his daughter Sora. The families he couldn't save, the person he used to be was on that wall too, in a way. That man died with New Horizon. What remained was something else. President Yuna, retired now, found him at the memorial one evening. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Becoming this?" Jiho thought for a long time. "I regret that it was necessary, but no. Someone had to. I'm glad it was me and not someone good, someone with more humanity left to lose." A generation grew up knowing only peace. They saw enhanced soldiers as heroes, protectors, legends. They didn't understand the cost. Lieutenant Hana worked as a civilian consultant now, helping integrate vector technology. A young girl approached her once, asking for an autograph. "You're a hero! You saved everyone!" Hana signed the girl's book, smiled, and later locked herself in her quarters. The conditioning prevented crying, but it couldn't stop the memories of what she'd done, what she'd enjoyed doing. She screamed into her pillow until her enhanced vocal cords gave out. Not everyone celebrated. War crimes tribunals were established. Some enhanced soldiers faced charges for actions beyond military necessity. Sergeant Day stood trial for his toxin experiments. His defense was simple. "I was following orders. I was conditioned to enjoy it. Am I guilty for what you made me?" The court deliberated for 3 months. The verdict, guilty. The sentence, none. "You've already sentenced yourselves," the judge said. "Prison would be mercy compared to what you live with. We can't punish you worse than you punish yourselves." 5 years after the war, Dr. Seok took his own life. His note was published despite his family's objections. I created gods and called them soldiers. I created monsters and called them necessary. I created hell and called it victory. I can't unmake what I made. I can't forgive what I am. Perhaps I can at least stop adding to it. Thousands attended his funeral. Jiho stood vigil all night. He couldn't cry, but he stood there. It was all he could do. Humanity's brutality didn't go unnoticed. Other alien species learned what humans could become. Some feared humanity now. Some hated them. Some respected them. The Karai Union sent ambassadors proposing an alliance. Their diplomat explained carefully, "Your kind went to war with monsters and became worse monsters. That is frightening, but also admirable. We would like to be friends, not enemies." Admiral Hyun, now Earth's chief diplomat, accepted the alliance. He knew the truth. Humanity couldn't go back to what they were. They could only move forward. And moving forward meant making sure everyone knew what would happen if they threatened human space again. Military academies taught the war as history now, the transformation, the victory, the cost. Recruiters quietly mentioned that the enhancement program still existed. Join the evolved core. Become humanity's shield. Some volunteered, fewer than expected. Most humans didn't want to become monsters, even necessary ones. But some did. That worried President Junho, who succeeded Yuna, more than he admitted in public. On the orbital station above New Horizon, rebuilt and thriving again, Jiho sat in his quarters watching the planet below. 2 million people lived there now, happy, safe, human. He thought about Nari, about Sora, about the man who had loved them. "Would you forgive me?" he whispered to ghosts. He'd never know. But the planet below was alive, human, safe. Maybe that was enough. He didn't believe it, but he told himself that anyway. Admiral Hyun, now 80 years old, invited Jiho to Earth for a private meeting. They drank together. Alcohol affected enhanced soldiers differently, but it worked eventually. "Did we do the right thing?" Hyun asked. Jiho considered carefully. "We did the necessary thing. Whether it was right isn't for us to decide. History will judge, or God, if either exists." Hyun nodded slowly. "I have grandchildren now. They don't know the war, don't know hunger or fear. They don't know what we did to give them that," Jiho added. "Good," Hyun said firmly. "Let them not know. Let them be human. That's what we fought for. What we became monsters for. So they wouldn't have to." Humanity expanded carefully now. Every new system approached with caution. Every new species greeted with diplomacy, backed by the visible presence of enhanced soldiers. The message was clear. We seek peace. But if you bring war, you'll learn why the galaxy fears us. It worked. No one wanted to be the next Vector. Specialist Minji taught at the military academy now. She told her students, "We won because we were willing to lose our humanity to save it. That's a paradox you'll carry your whole lives. We became monsters so you wouldn't have to. Honor that. Never forget what it cost. And for God's sake, never make us do it again." The students listened. Some understood. Some didn't. The ones who didn't would learn eventually. History had a way of teaching harsh lessons. Late one night, Commander Jiho sat alone on his station, looking at an old photograph. The only one that survived from before. Him, Nari, Sora, all smiling, happy, human. He didn't remember taking it. Couldn't recall what that happiness felt like. The conditioning had taken those memories, made them distant and meaningless. That man in the photo was dead. He died when New Horizon burned. What remained was something else, something necessary, something monstrous. But the planet below was safe. Humanity survived, thrived, grew. If the price was his soul, everyone's souls, all the humanity they'd lost. Jiho closed his black eyes and smiled with too many teeth. "Then it was worth it," he whispered to the empty room. "It had to be. Because if it wasn't, then we're all damned. but he knew the truth. They were already damned. The moment they chose survival over humanity, the moment they became monsters to fight monsters, the moment they won, they were damned. But they were alive, and maybe that was the only victory that mattered. The stars shone on outside his window, indifferent, eternal, beautiful, and cold. And humanity, scarred and monstrous and beautiful and terrible, reached out to claim them, not as the species they used to be, but as what they'd become: survivors, monsters, gods of war who remembered being human. They begged for mercy. Humanity delivered monsters instead, and the monsters delivered victory. That was the price. That was the cost. And every enhanced soldier paid it every single day for the rest of their very long lives.